Hey guys, Majin Obama here, and today we're going to talk about the latest release of contents for Tekken 8. Of course, Heihachi just came out for the game, and a lot of players are digging into him, and he's going to, I think, have an impact on the competitive scene. Won't be this weekend, obviously, with Tiger Uppercut coming up. After that, we'll see. However, his release has kind of been overshadowed by a stage release controversy that's going on. This is the Genmaji Temple, which was released at the same time as Heihachi. However, there's a catch. If you guys haven't been paying attention, this stage was not included in the season pass, which is kind of a first for a while, I think, with this game. Now, you know, Harada's talked about this over the years. Stage design and actually stage development for these games is actually like really complex and really involved. But I think this particular case, it made a lot of people really upset. And there's some additional kind of tidbits with this case. You got to realize Tekken 8 in particular has a very, very successful presence in the West in this version of the game, specifically compared to regions like Japan. And for a lot of players, and I don't want to use this word, but in this case it does make sense, users, consumers, a lot of the European audience and some of the, I'd say, North American based audience, they have like allergic reactions to, I think, content monetization schemes when they feel bad, and they react in a very, very aggressive way. And this has happened with Tekken 8 now once again, on top of the other earlier season pass issue. This is now the latest case of this. So right now the game's being review bombed on Steam. People are furious. How could I buy a season pass? I bought the ultimate edition of the game and it didn't even come with the latest stage that you guys put on. Well, there's a few nuances to this. They did not advertise the season pass as including this, right? So it's not like they did something wrong in that regard, but they didn't fully divulge that when you bought the season pass, this was not going to be included, right? And it's troublesome, I think, because in Tekken 7, you're used to, okay, we get the season pass, we get the stage that's going to come out with the new characters, right? So there's kind of that precedent, there's that set of expectations to where if you don't explicitly state, yeah, this stage is going to come out, but it's not included in the pass, when you buy the pass, it's going to have these set of things, but not this thing. I think that kind of made some people feel like they got the rug, swept from under them like that. It's unfortunate because the stage, it looks cool for what it is, but when you have to pay an additional $5 on top of the season pass that you already purchased, this is not going to make a lot of people happy. And like I said, especially when you have a European, North American, Western-based audience, they are going to react very negatively to this. And it does not take long for you to find. Take a look at Twitter. People have been furious about this for the past day or so. Initially there was some confusion. Well, maybe it's because we're in the early access phase. Maybe the stage is part of it and it's a mistake or something with PlayStation Network. No, they announced this as well, even on Japanese side. This DLC is not included in the year one pass. And so this naturally kind of leads people to have conversations about the early reports this year about how Blue Protocol's failure has kind of put some of the more successful titles that Bamco right now has active. It kind of puts the onus on them to kind of make up for some of those losses and some of those costs. But I can't imagine $5 stages are gonna put a dent in whatever they lost. Like, it's just hard for me to see visually like that. Fortunately, and this is something that Tekken players, I've always said they don't really value this in the way that they should. Harada actually put out a really, frankly, good statement where they kind of take accountability for this, and he kind of opens the window kind of to peek into how the structure of this game's release content and development is, to give you guys a better understanding of how something like this could happen. And so he says, I understand that the community has some questions about the release of this stage DLC. As the person in charge of the Tekken franchise, I apologize. It was made clear from the beginning that the year one pass would not include stages, but even so, when Lydia was released, the Seaside Resort stage was a free update. So because they gave that free stage, I felt like it kind of reinforced the expectation of, oh, you're gonna get stages, even though people didn't really notice that, oh, stages are not included in this. Them giving away the free stage kind of set up a situation where they're gonna get an even worse backlash, for this kind of thing. It's unfortunate the way it worked out. In this case, even though the additional story mode, which should have had the highest development cost, is a free update, but the Genmaji stage was sold separately. At least almost all the community was expecting a pattern similar to that of Lydia. There are various reasons for this, but I will talk about the background to this as an individual in order to increase transparency to some extent. And like I said, this is what's really valuable when your game has a face. It's a catch-22, right? This person is going to get the brunt of all negative backlash and weirdos adding, Harada will talk about his dog dying, and then someone in the comments will be like, hey, put put Christy in the game, asshole. You know, you're gonna get those weirdos like that. But it's cool because when your game has a face like this who's willing to interface with the community like this, it makes the experience feel, it's very weird, but it makes it feel like a smaller community than what it really is. And when you have, I think, figureheads like Harada, or even I would say like Kamone is like that. Kamone's very vocal and very transparent about what goes on in some cases, and they're out there like that. It highlights the catch-22 nature of this kind of relationship with your community and social media. But in this context, it's good. I like it, you know? And this is something that I think Tekken players can kind of take for granted. Not every game has these kinds of people like. The Tekken project is divided into two companies, a game development studio and a publisher that is responsible for game sales. At the time of the development and release of Tekken 7, development and publishing companies were not separate. So this is in fact saying that basically Tekken project kind of separated after Tekken 7 to where there are two almost independent kind of entities that are at work on the game. Interesting. As some of you may know, I moved to the development studio side a few years ago and have been focusing on maximizing quality of content, tech, graphics. The development side and publishing side each have their own rules, and there are differences in the way they think and the responsibilities. I, who should be the one to act as a bridge between the two, have not been able to properly participate in the publishing and sales decision-making process. As a result, I think there were parts of the process that did not take the community's opinion into account. And this makes a lot of sense when you consider some of the missteps that Tekken 8 has had, especially post-launch and post-launch content rollout. It makes sense that it's probably coming from people who are more business savvy or suit-sided, not necessarily people who have a read on the pulse of the community like that and how audiences are going to respond to that, especially audiences in the West. That really, this little bit of transparency kind of highlights and helps you understand maybe why Tekken 8 has had some of the missteps post-launch that it has had. I think I failed to create an organizational structure that would allow me to oversee things beyond my own position. One of my roles was to listen to the opinions of the community and reflect them not only in the content, but also in the outer game, but I was clearly becoming passive, worrying about the relationships between companies and not exercising my role. From now on, I will review the structure and change it to one that values the community as I did in the past. So I think this was a great response, to be honest with you. This was a pretty good answer to a lot of the anger that a lot of players have had, and it gives you again transparency and a window into how the nature of Tekken within the scope of the company has changed. When you know now that there are essentially two teams that are kind of working in a symbiotic relationship, but an imperfect one, that can kind of make you help you understand, oh, well, that's why this season pass stuff is so weird and in some ways anti-player in my mind. Oh, that's why the stage isn't included in the pass. Why? You know, that is kind of a strange thing, especially when you consider how stages impact Tekken, especially competitive play. It was kind of a strange thing, right? This can help you understand that. So now that you have this information straight from the horse's mouth, it kind of recontextualizes some of the struggles that Tekken 8 has had post-launch, especially specifically with content rollout. I think that's really been what's been fanning the flames every time. And with that said, I think there's only one way to make up for this, and I've done a video on this before, but I'm just gonna bring it back. Y'all know what we're looking for. And if you're on my team, let me know in the comments below. Listen, Tekken Project, I'm willing to forgive and forget, but you know what we're here for. You know what we want. We've said it multiple times. Kazma, roll the footage. Go ahead.
Put her in the game, bro. I know she's in there. This was our birthright. It's such an easy layup. Put her in the game.
We'll catch you guys next video. What did you guys think about this stage situation? Is there a way that they can make it up to you? Are you cool with it? Do you still think it's bad? Are you one of the guys in the Steam reviews bombing the game because of it? Let me know in the comments below. Let's talk about it. I'll holler at you guys next time. Be easy.